Are you seeking a better way to accelerate your sales, to scale your business, to live a life with no limits? Accelerate Sales Podcast features global experts who have cracked the code to recurring revenues with proven sales systems and get you on the fast track to scaling. Now let's accelerate your sales with today's episode.
Hi, I'm Paul Higgins. Welcome to the Accelerate Sales Podcast, episode number 417. You're going to learn three key things today. One is how to get 46% open rates to your emails. 46%. Do you know the average is around 2%? Second is some great outbound tips. And the third is a way to add value to the people that you're selling to, your buyers, and also do some good in the world. So if you're a first-time listener and you love what you hear, please subscribe. And if you're a regular, thanks for your support. Always welcome those reviews. You can get a summary in whatever platform you're listening to, but you can get the full summary at paulhigginsmentoring.com/podcast. And you can also ask for a transcript there. And before I go into interview, Andy, I just want to thank two of my sponsors. One is the Cloud Consultants Collective. So it's a free group where peers are helping each other. They're all cloud consultants to scale their business. Just go to cloudconsultantscollective.com. And the other is Send Spark. It's a brilliant way of using video to get more of your client engagement, but also prospects and fantastic analytics, etc. So just go to paulhigginsmentoring.com/SendSpark for 6 months free. So our guest today is Andy, and he spent his career in sales and marketing for some of the world-beating companies, Upwork, Box, Culture Amp, etc. And his team has sent billions of emails, and it caused a lot of a pain. You know how everyone likes to, scratch their own itch? This is a great one here. He built Gated, so it's gated.com, and it's going to fix email noise for both buyers and sellers. And it also does some good in the world, which is great. As I said, Gated also allows you to focus on emails that really matter. So what I'm going to do now is hand you over to Andy Mowat from gated.com. Fantastic having you here, Andy.
Hey, great to see you, Paul.
Yeah, so I found you through being on the receiving end of your great product. I tried to reach out to someone. I reached out to them on LinkedIn, and then I tried email, and then I got this email back from Gated, and I was like, what's this? And then it led me to you. So tell me a little bit about who your ideal client is and what problems you're solving at the moment for them.
Yeah, we look to help people that are overloaded with too much noise.
Surely there's no one on the world like that.
I don't think there are that many of those people. No. I think about it this way: like a lot of us are in sales modes, but we also are receiving email, whether it's on our personal, whether it's on our work. And so I've spent 20 years of my career building go-to-market machines for unicorns, SaaS unicorns. I've sent over 1 billion, probably multiple billion emails. I know every trick in the book for outbound email. But I also know that, people are tuning it out more and more.
Yeah, great. And look, we'll get into the product you've got, but just quickly on that outbound knowledge, right? Like I can't let that one go by. For those that aren't using your product, i.e., a small percentage of the market, hopefully. Certainly over time. What are some of the things that you think are still working in outbound? I know I'm sort of talking about the devil a little here, but just give us a little bit of an insight after everything that you've seen on, how do you get into someone's door? And then we'll talk about a better way of doing it.
Yeah. I think multi-channel. And I'd say what I see, channels are in sales and marketing. You're always trying to find the channel that's kind of not being used the most and going there. I mean, email, it's just been, the reply rates have been dropping just consistently. And, there's deliverability challenges there. You end up trying to game the header. You're trying to do cute little things. Maybe you can do some videos in there, but at a fundamental level, like you're fighting against so much noise, right? Like I get every month from this one lady in Hong Kong, a email selling me customized plastic shopping carts. I'm sorry, I'm just not a buyer. Like no matter how many times she sends that email, I'm still not going to be a buyer. And so there's no forcing mechanism to force senders to think before they send. And so email You got to have it in your arsenal. It's the unique identifier in outbound. You should use it, but it's not working great. Like if I'm thinking about it, I obviously like social LinkedIn seems to work better. I think emails have effectively been toasted because they're really only used for sales. And so I think a lot of people right now are frankly just sending an invitation invite. And, 4 or 5 years ago, people would only connect with people they knew. Now there's this whole new wave where, people have realized it's about followers and getting more people. And if they start to accept, but I think the more prominent people are so overloaded that they're even starting to tune that stuff out as well too. I think social selling is in particularly like, but I hate the term, but like dark social. So being in the communities of where your people are going to be, that can be a little bit hard if, you're selling to marketers and you're not a marketer and you're a salesperson, like they're not going to want you there. So delivering great content. I think other things that I've seen be really effective is, on LinkedIn, you can hit the little bell and you can follow the people that you're chasing, and then you can start to comment on their stuff. And when people do that, I start to notice, and then you've kind of warmed things up for your eventual outreach. And I've seen that be fairly effective if people are politely persistent, but it's hard, right? Like fundamentally, the world of outbound is not easy. It's taking 99 no's to get one maybe. It's not an easy world.
Yeah, look, I totally agree. And look, some of the things we do, which you mentioned, just to summarize, is, we definitely do pre-engagement. I think that's so important. I like it to, and someone, Tyrone, who was on our podcast recently, said, only do things that you do in real life, right? Especially on LinkedIn. And, you'd notice someone, you'd say something briefly, you compliment them, et cetera, and then it sort of has progression. So I think that by far is the best way. And then I think the other thing is, look at the mutual connections, not to say, hey, I've got 113 connections, but to say, hey, look, 3 people here I know really well and they'll vouch for me, right? So I found that works really well because you're actually, you're leveraging your network in the right way. So there are a couple of things we're doing, but as, you're focusing, or your ideal client's really the buyer, right? That's getting all of that noise. So tell us a little bit about Gated and, how you came up with the idea and how it works.
Yeah. So about 3 years and change ago, I was running demand gen revenue ops at actually an Australian company, about 100 million in revenue, and I was getting hammered. So I wrote an email that said, I don't know you. We've never met before. I'm not going to read your email. Here's my nonprofit. If you want to donate, you can send 10 cents. And if you do, guarantee I'll read it. Yeah. And so people started donating, but they didn't just donate 10 cents. They donated $20 or $50, and they wanted to get my attention. And so I just kept iterating on that model and proving it and testing it for 2 years, just kind of on the side and making it better until we kind of realized a couple like aha moments. And then we took money about a year ago, and now we're taking off. So we were number 1 on Product Hunt a month ago. We're starting to really get noticed, and you noticed us in that way. So the first, I think part of the reason I was excited to come on the show is the first time somebody sees Gated, they're kind of like, ugh, email's always been free. This sucks. But as I remember getting on another podcast recently, the guy's like, I don't think I should be talking to you. I'm in sales. Like, I see what you do. You stop us. I was like, give me 10 minutes. And at the end of it, he's like, oh my God, of course, this makes sense. So what we do is we kill the noise. We create incentives, or we create disincentives to send crappy email. And there's no point in sending it if it's not going to get through. And so our vision for the world today, on average, people get about a 2% reply rate. So you're going to send 100 emails, you're going to get 2 replies. Yeah. With Gated, it's about 46% reply rate. So figure you're going to send 10 emails and get 5 replies. Yeah. That world is better for everyone. Users are getting less stuff. It's all relevant what they're getting now, or it's a lot less irrelevant. And senders are having to spend a lot less time on prospecting and more time on discussion and dialogue.
Yeah, great. Which, I think, and, none of us, like, if you're listening to Andy at the moment, like, you don't enjoy, especially, you're a technical person normally. You're selling, software, etc., and you're doing sales because you know that's what's going to grow your business. But you don't like sending them either, right? So it goes twofold, right? The buyers don't like receiving them, and you don't like sending them, right? So this is a great example. And if I just add a little color to how I found Andy, is I literally reached out to someone on LinkedIn, then I sent them an email, and I got this email back from Gated saying, and you can fill in the details of the script. But it was basically, if you want me to read your email, donate to this charity. And I looked at the guy, I really wanted to get through to him, and I thought, yes, I will. So I donated to charity, which now we're having a conversation, which is great. But the other thing is that I thought that's a brilliant idea, right? There's been so many other, like you said, hacks, tactics to try to get in someone's inbox. I think this is great where it's actually a lovely way to get in. It's doing good for the world, but also that noise is being controlled. So that's the way that I was introduced to the product. So fill in the gaps. What have I missed in the process?
You got a great one. I mean, I think at the bottom, there's some, below all that, it says, hey, if you know me, and it got sent by accident. So say you and I have communicated, and then you sent it to me from a different email. It's going to say that. You could say, if you know me and you're in some way, shape, or form, like click here to skip or bypass the donation. And so we spent a lot of time innovating on that as well too. And so, our tool is very smart. It learns how you use email. We may send a false positive here and there, but I think as people start to understand what Gated is more and more, they start to be like, oh, of course, it's Gated. Like, if I value this person's time, I can donate. And it's not a lot of money. I mean, we default to everyone to $2. Some users who are absolutely overwhelmed can dial it up more.
Yeah. I think that's brilliant. And as far as how it works in my inbox, right? So, or my email. So let's say I've got a Gmail account. Is it doing that for every email that's coming in? Is it only doing it for certain emails? Like, how do you know who's trying to sell to you and who's not?
I mean, first off, like, we work with any client. We are not an email client. Like, you do not have to change your email client to use Gated. Yes. As long as you're on Google powered, and we'll add other solutions soon.
Yeah.
When we onboard somebody, we will scan the last 18 months of sent. We'll figure if you sent to them, you probably want to hear from them again.
Yeah.
We'll then take whatever your domain is, we'll automatically allow that. And then we'll say, here's a list of other domains you communicate with. Are there any that no matter what you want to receive? And so you can do that in like 5 minutes, and then you're good to go. And then from there, we just watch how you send email. If you send to somebody new, well, we're going to allow that person in. But we're also really smart, right? Say, Paul, you copy in one of your other friends who you want to meet me. Well, that friend shouldn't be challenged either, right? So we're going to learn, and there's lots of those different use cases. And so the system is learning as we're going.
Yeah. That's brilliant. That's brilliant. And is, I know one of the questions that came to mind for me is like, how do I know someone's on Gated, right? So
you don't yet. You can definitely go sign up on our website for the wait list for sender accounts. As we get a bigger and bigger wait list, we'll build that sooner. We get that question a lot. Also, hey, I don't want to have to whip out my credit card every single time. Can I just deposit, $20 and have it debited? So those are all things that we think about. At the moment, there is no way to know somebody's on Gated until you get a response back. I think the goal of this, from my perspective, is don't fear that. Welcome it.
Yes. Yeah. It's great. And as far as the future direction for the business, like what, we've talked about a couple of the things that you'll be adding features, but, what's the overall view, ambition for you in the business?
Yeah, as I said, I've spent my whole career hammering people. I've sent billions of emails. And so this is my attempt to give back to society. We actually have on our website a page called our manifesto. It's what we believe. At a fundamental level, we believe you should have control over your attention. You shouldn't have to pay money to pick up the garbage on your own lawn. That should be the people that are polluting it. So this is a fundamental problem of the commons. If you've ever studied economics, it's like people don't face the marginal cost for the pollution that they're doing. It's the same with the environment, same with anything else. So our manifesto kind of walks through, it's a really kind of fun, interactive one that you can see. But we kind of believe in three things, right? We believe one is you should control how people can reach you.
Yeah.
You should decide what your attention is worth. And then finally, like by charging this small amount of money, we actually create connections rather than eliminate them. So I can tell you, I pretty much would blow off everybody that ever sent me anything I didn't know before. Now, if somebody donates, they're going to hear back from me.
Yeah.
And so we've had so many great stories where somebody is working. It's like I had one where this woman emailed one of our users. He's like, "Hey, it's not for me, but here's one idea." She went out and she donated like $2 to the American Red Cross. She went out. Actually, that idea turned into something. She came back and donated another $25 in his name, and just to thank him for his time. Right. So we believe that by reducing the noise, we can actually increase connections.
Yeah.
Like how when you go to a football game, American or Aussie rules, and you're walking through that crowd, you don't meet anybody. Yes. But if you went to a football game and there were two people on the sidelines, you'd walk over to that other person. You'd be like, "Hey, mate, how you doing? Like, what's going on here?" And so get rid of the noise and make it more personal. And that's what we're after. We start with email, but that's not where we stop.
Yeah. And the people that are currently using it, like what sort of roles, who's using it at the moment?
Yeah. So I'd say think of it like business to business buyers is our core focus. So CEOs, marketers, revenue operations, engineers, product, IT, anyone that's kind of like not in a sales capacity. Now, so that's like our core. It's free, right? So people use it for their personal as well too. We've seen a lot of people sign up with their Gmails as well. And then we see people with crazy roles, right? Like we've got journalists using it, investors using it, sales people, and customer success. Like even though we tell them, "Hey, it might not be for you yet," some of the leaders are so overwhelmed that they sign up as well too. So it pretty much helps everybody. I've heard sometimes that I'm not important enough to use gated. And I think we want to dissuade that view, which is if you're overwhelmed with email and you're waking up every morning and you're spending your first 10 minutes deleting stuff, then gated's for you. It doesn't cost you anything. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I could definitely see a lot of, assistants, virtual assistants, etc. also loving this tool, right? Because they're the gatekeeper. Like for me, I'm fortunate that I don't see any of this noise, but my team do, right? So it's a good way of doing that. And then just for you, gated is it's spelled GATED.com is where you'll go and find more about it. And Andy. And
I just want to go back to your assistant issue for a point for a second.
Yeah, sure.
For 3.5 years, I ran a company that outsourced virtual assistants. We had 300 or 400 in Guatemala and the Philippines.
Yeah.
A lot of people would say, can my virtual assistant manage my email? It's one of the hardest tasks for somebody else to manage your email because the context is so high, right? Yes. Like it could be like, "Hey, Paul, so-and-so told me that we should talk," where if that person's never met you before. One of the classic outbound tactics is send a lot of email over the holidays because you'll get the out of offices, and then they will say, "Hey, Paul, I'm not here, but talk to Bob." So then they'll be like, "Hey, Bob, Paul told me to talk to you," right? Like those are classic tactics. And so an assistant doesn't know the difference. Yes. And so I very quickly came to the view that assistants, it's a terrible job to have a virtual assistant or an assistant like filter your inbox. So we've taken a lot of high profile executives and allowed them to put their assistants on other more valuable projects.
Spot on. Yep. And that's, exactly. I ran a VA company for 5 years based in the Philippines as well. And we
probably met.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. And it's, and no one wants to do it. Right. And like you said, it's and the other thing I often say to people is if you're receiving too many emails, it's probably because you're sending too many. I remember in corporate, I had a boss that used to send me like 200 emails a day as a sort of a rough minimum. So one day I just walked into his office and, he's the CEO of the company. He was a pretty intense guy. And I just put this big bit of paper on the desk. And he said, what's that? I said, don't worry, we'll get to that. So then he gave me about 15 things to do, which I knew I couldn't do. And I said, okay, is that it? Is that all you're going to give me? I said, cool. He said, so what's that bit of paper? I said, I just want you to help me to find what else I should be doing out of these 200 emails you're sending me a day. And I won't use the colorful language that he used, but I said, like, come on, mate. Like, it's just completely overwhelming. You're overwhelming everyone, right? Everyone's talking about it, but and I reckon for about 3 months it got better, and then I left, and I think it got worse.
Imagine if you could charge him $1 an email. Right?
Yeah.
I would have sent a lot less of those things.
Correct. Yeah. So look, it's pretty. And what about the charities? Like, are they global charities? Can you pick your own? How does that work?
Every user gets to pick their own charity and set their own minimum donation. Now, we are primarily support U.S. 501c3s today, but there's so many great organizations in that roughly million charities that make a difference internationally, right? So we default everyone to Doctors Without Borders. It's doing great work in Ukraine right now.
Yes.
There's tons of international charities we can do, and then we're working on UK and Australian charities is probably our next phase. But we have a lot of international users all over Europe, all over Asia, and we haven't found any that that we can't help right now.
Yeah, well, look, in my personal situation, I'm a transplant recipient. I had polycystic kidney disease, so I was able to find PKD America, which I knew do great work that we benefit from here in Australia. So I was able to find them and contribute to them. So it's I found it very easy to do that. And then the great thing is I got the meeting, and for more of a question that you may want to answer, you may not, but what's the end game? Like, obviously it's free now and you've got investors in, there's got to be some monetary value in time.
Well, we make money.
Okay.
We take 30% of every donation.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
Gotcha.
And the thought there is we want to make it free for users because users are the ones dealing with the problem. And so we take enough to fund our own, to fund kind of the cost of us running it. Over time, think of it like LinkedIn. LinkedIn gives you a free resume.
Yes.
Online.
Yes.
We make even money, whereas LinkedIn doesn't, but they also charge for like premium subscriptions and stuff like that. But where they make their real money is on connecting people. But they're always doing it with a user first mentality, right? Like they can never sell that data. We will never sell ours. They need to do everything on a user first basis.
Yeah. Brilliant. Great. Well, look, as I said, go check it out. Even if you're not in the situation to use it, be aware of it. Make people that are getting too much noise. And, think of it as a great way that if you have got a good relationship with someone, it might be a CFO, it might be whatever. Well, this is going to be a great benefit to them. You're also adding benefit, saying to them, hey, have you heard about this great product called gated.com? I think it'll really help you. You're already in the door to that one. And, in a way, they might spend more time with you. So that could be a great benefit.
We thought about that. It's like, can we help senders give the gift of gated to users? So definitely is a thought on the top of our mind. Yeah, and even if you can't sign up today, but you believe in what we're trying to do, you can actually go sign our manifesto and
great.
And kind of share your support for what we're trying to do.
All right, brilliant. Well, we're going to do some quick questions and answers just to round it out. So I'll ask you the question, you give me a quick answer. So the first one, what are some daily sales habits that you do to help you accelerate your sales?
Yeah, so we got a different type of sales than most people in the fact that we're not actually like picking up the phone and calling everyone. I think what we're really doing is customer advocacy, which I think anyone can do, is one of the key tactics. I actually just posted a video of like how we do that, but getting our customers to talk about how gated works, becoming our biggest advocates. And so like no matter what business you're in, you can do that. And you can say, hey, if you enjoyed working with us, would you mind giving us a testimonial? And then you can, once they do that, then you can make another ask of them and another ask. And so I'd say customer advocacy, both us working on it and then also because people love our product is by far our biggest channel.
Yeah, great. And like you said, you spent a lot of time in B2B sales. So this is a bit in your prior career rather than what you're doing now. But, what are some of the, back then, what were some of the best ways you kept up to date with the latest in sales techniques and tips?
I ran all systems, processes, strategy for folks. Now, I haven't been a seller myself in 15 or 20 years. I love just exchanging ideas all the time, like we're doing right here. So it's talking to people, networking, communities are all really great ways to do that.
Yeah, great. And if I could, or if you listening could grant Andy a wish, and let's say I'll chip in as well, what would that be? What's one wish that you'd love right now for your business?
I'd love everybody. In the end, what we're trying to do is go from something that feels a little awkward to something that everyone welcomes. And so honestly, if I could have one wish, everyone will go to our website, read our manifesto, and then post it on social media. Like, that's it. I think the more think of us like Calendly. It felt weird when you first used it. What is this person asking me to do? Like, are they that important? Why can't they just send me 2 times? And then you realize how actually it's easier for everybody. And so, help us get there.
Yeah, Brandon, the last one is, what's something that you know now that's helped you grow your business you really wish you had have implemented or known earlier?
Yeah, I just last week reread Crossing the Chasm. It's classic book. I think we went broad too fast. And so, what he talks about is focusing on a very narrow segment to be able to be, the default solution there versus going too broad. So we'll narrow it in a little bit, right? Which is like, we truly do work for virtually everybody, but I think we're very much kind of rethinking our own messaging around how do we just go after 1 or 2 functions to begin with, and then that will enable us to then take over the world.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, look, it's been fantastic having you on, Andy. I think it is a great platform, and I'd be more than happy to donate more and more to get into the hands of great people. And if you can go from 2% to 46% reply rates, wouldn't we all love that? So just go to gated.com, and also, as Andy said, just go and sign the manifesto and share it so more people can do it. And the more people that do it, I think the greater the chance you've actually got to be with the people that you really need or need to be with. So, Andy, thanks for being on today.
Thank you, Paul. It was a really great job.
That was a great interview with Andy. I love his energy, but I love just the fact that he's just creating a great solution to the world, right? Because none of us need more emails, but charities do need more money. So I think it's a fantastic way of doing it. So go to his manifesto, and as he said, just, sign it, tick it off, whatever there is on there. It's gated.com. You can find it and share it with social so that other people can use this tool, because you all know people that are receiving too many more emails. And also, as I said, give it to some of your busiest clients, right? Because they will really get benefit from it. You're already in the door. So, it's working beautifully. You can get all the links to Gated, etc. at paulhigginsmentoring.com. If, like I said, share it with people, and also give Andy a bit of a shout out because he is doing something wonderful. Check out our solo shows. Don't forget that free community for cloud consultants, cloudconsultantscollective.com. And next week's guest is Valerie Trappensky. Now, she's going to talk about how you can remove the 50% of sales out of your life through brilliant VAs. So I can't wait to have Valerie on. Last thing, as always, please take action to accelerate your sales.
I'm fired up after today's episode. What about you? But hey, before you go, learning is just one piece of the puzzle. Now it's time to put today's strategy into action. Head over now to today's show page at paulhigginsmentoring.com/podcast and share how you'll put it into action. Be sure to head over to your favorite podcast platform and subscribe, rate, and review the show. Tell me what your favorite episode is. And don't wait 1 minute more to gain access to your pulse check at paulhigginsmentoring.com. This could be the difference between struggling to get more leads and making this next quarter your best one yet.